Hi, it's Dr. Cho. I'm going to go over now how this course is laid out. Now in Blackboard, essentially, and a lot of you are probably already familiar with this, but the way I've laid the course out is essentially in the beginning, on the top left modules, this is your general information and communication. This lecture subsequently is in this welcome and start here. The class information and the schedule is given in the middle. And finally, the course itself. Now, when you open up each one of these modules, what you'll find inside is what the objectives are for this week, what your readings are, the lectures and video notes will be in there, a discussion forum, which is part of your grade to carry a discussion, and whatever homework or assignments are due that week. Plus, there will be a quiz. There are 4 quizzes in this class. And at the bottom is, if you're having problems with your Blackboard, consult ASU. Yeah, I've had students come to me before Blackboard, and it's like, oh, I can't do anything. This is an IT issue. In terms of a folder, what you'll find is, for example, in reading, so it'll tell you, this is the text. There will be articles, and there'll be web links to articles, and so those will be in there also. And the lectures and notes. Every week I'll probably post an overview lecture of the previous week to tell you, what I've seen or whatever tips come along. Your calendar is, I think, the most important thing because you always see an overview of what's due. And so, as you can see, you've got weekly discussions due pretty much by midnight of Sunday. Or 12 a.m. on Monday, take your pick. In general, quizzes, they'll be given on Wednesday, and you have through Thursday to do it. So you have a 48-hour, I'm giving you a 48-hour time slot. You can take the quiz anytime you want to. So this gives you some flexibility in terms of picking when you actually want to take the quiz. And it ends at midnight on Thursday. Assignments in general are due Mondays at noon, but double check. Blackboard will tell you when it's actually due. In general, I think I've made every assignment do that, but I think the final assignment I had to move it. And so the layout of this course is lectures, which are going to be based on a couple of books, articles, and papers. The thing about this class is when I was asked to do a promotion class, I sat down and thought about it. And I came to the conclusion, and I looked at a whole bunch of textbooks. There is no good textbook. And so what I've actually done is taken 3 business classes, taken the best pieces of things that you actually know, and put it into one course. That way, what I've done basically is cut out the BS for you. Anyway, I have participation drives, lectures, you have your assignments, cases, quizzes, and a final project. And that's team and individual. In terms of weighting, your discussions that you do online is worth 15% of your grade. You've got 4 assignments. Assignment 0 is pretty cushy. I just asked you a couple of questions. And then you have assignments 1 to 3. You have 2 case studies. Case studies are longer. They take more time. You have 4 quizzes, and then you have your final case, which is team grade, but there's actually an individual part too. I mean, there's one part where the entire team writes it up together, then each of you has your own individual parts. The thing about the final case is, what's the problem with teamwork? You get free riders. You get people who don't pull their weight. So what do you do about them? Well, what I allow you to do, what we do in this course is at the end, you'll do a peer review. And if you get bad peer reviews, meaning your scores are like 0 to 2 across the board from everybody in your group, I reserve the right to basically reduce your grade by 20%, knock off 20 points. By the same token, I also reserve the right to add 10 points. If you were the one who carried the entire weight of your team, then just because your team average was 85, maybe you did A work, and so you should get bumped up to 95. I reserve the right to do that. In terms of grading, essentially, in your Blackboard, right now it's not up, so hopefully I can get this fixed in time. Look at your weighted grade. Your weighted grade tells you what your average is for the class, because all these assignments are weighted, which make up 100%, and the grading is pretty standard. I do pluses and minuses. The thing is, a lot of you are going to end up being borderline, so come ask me about that. Your study teams. The big thing about working in this study, working in marketing, is you have to work in a team. I will allow you to fire team members if you don't think they're participating or useful. That's probably not going to be a big case here, just because there's only one project you work on together as a team. I have already picked the teams, just because this is such a short course, and I've already picked their team names too. Yes, you are all named after action characters. But the thing is, some of you might know each other. So look at the listing of teams. And if there's somebody that you know in the class and you want to work together, that's fine. I'll switch the rosters around. But just tell me by this Friday. In terms of reading, we have 2 books. Marketing Engineering by Lillian. There's a lot of math in it, actually. You don't have to worry about that. The analytics and the modeling. There's also a software version of the book. The software is useful if you're really serious about this kind of stuff. The Startup Owner's Manual. Personally, if I'm not sure I was going to do this full time, I just get the digital version. It's only $8. There's a number of different articles you go through. There is one video lecture that I'm going to ask you to watch, which is 57 minutes long. And yes, quiz questions will be offered off of it. Here were your options. I could have made you buy the strategy book for like $100, or you can spend an hour. I don't think there are a lot of you making $100 an hour out there, so I thought, you probably just want to watch a YouTube video. There are a bunch of suggested books in case you're struggling or want to find other references too. I already talked about the textbooks. In terms of assignments tend to be more analytical. Cases tend to be more about decision making. That you're given a hypothetical situation, what is it that you do based on what you learn. There are no team assignments and cases for this. It's just going to be the final project. In terms of quizzes, last time I tried to do this in a course this short, I got crucified. It's because class average was like 36. I mean, people just weren't picking up on the conceptual nature. But when I design a quiz, what I like to do is make it 40% base understanding, meaning if you understand anything at all in this class, you'll get 40%. 40% is for people who study, and the last 20% is for people who really know their stuff. What I'm going to do now is there are going to be 15 question quizzes. 10 of them will be your standard quiz, just asking about basic definitions and things like that. But the 5 questions will be more like Dr. Cho type questions. And what I do is I ask you to apply what you know. Now, here's a sample question. I'm not going to go over it, but you can. It's posted on Blackboard what the answer is. But the big thing about every question is to figure out what concept I am asking about. The concept here is that in most industries, it costs more to recruit a new customer than to retain an existing customer. And that kind of makes sense, because your existing customers who are leaving, they know you, they were there, obviously there was something at one time they liked about you and they've left. Versus a new customer who knows absolutely nothing about you, and then you have to spend all that time and money to get to know you. And so naturally that's going to be a lot more expensive. In terms of the syllabus, I've broken this class up into 6 learning sections. The first part of the class, we're going to go over and learn about who is the customer and how customers think. The next part is strategic landscape. And that's that, okay, I've decided I'm going to have a marketing campaign, I'm going to go after something. Well, for all intents and purposes, you're putting together a battle plan. You go running into battle without any intelligence, without knowing what's out there, knowing what you're going to have to go up against. Nah, that'd be suicide. There are plenty of examples in history of armies who got slaughtered because they just ran into battle and didn't know what they were doing. And so the strategic landscape is about figuring out What is the landscape and what is it that I have to deal with? Then there are the knobs to turn. And what that refers to is in marketing, okay, what is it that I actually can do that will affect the outcome? And so now we're getting to things like price, product features, that sort of thing. Then we get into selling. This is the part where most of you probably thought this class was about. And for the most part, half of this class is about promotion. And so essentially, how do you go about promoting your product? But also, we live in a digital age. So there's a digital section. I'll talk about social network theory, about the digital tools out there and how people do digital marketing today. And finally, we'll wrap it all up, take everything we've learned, and we'll talk about customer acquisition, growth, how it applies to entrepreneurs, and how actually marketing applies to your everyday life. One of the biggest questions I get is, Dr. Chow, how do I find a job? And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you took my 310 class. You're a product. You market yourself. You brand yourself. And that's some of the things we'll do this semester. Okay, so how do I do well in this class? The thing is, most people are used to, I read a book, I do the exercises at the end of the chapter, and I take a quiz on the facts of the book. That's high school. This isn't high school. This is college. This is about learning things, understanding concepts, and applying them. And so this is what this class challenges you on. It challenges you to think critically. And this is what's going to prepare you for the industrial world. The thing is, on a lot of these problems, there's more than one right answer. What it comes down to is logically, is your solution, does it make sense? The thing about this class is look at your assignments early. I mean, just read them over so you have an idea what it's done. I can't tell you how many assignments and papers I get where clearly this person has no idea what this assignment was about, and if they just asked me some questions, but they left it to the last minute, it's too late to ask any questions. I mean, it's always funny. I run into a student and they're asking me a question at 5 o'clock, and I'm looking at my watch. It's like, oh, this is due in 7 hours. No, vaya con Dios. Anyway, if you get stuck, ask questions. I'm basically on email every day. And so the thing is, I will give you hints. And those hints will save you a boatload of time. Now, of course, if it looks like you didn't read it at all and you're asking me questions, I'll tell you to go back and read it. But if you've read over it and you're stuck on something, just ask questions. The thing about this class is it's not an easy class. This is not a cushy class. And some students have accused me of catering to the top 20% of the class, and everybody else has got to suffer. Well, I look at it more as I've set the bar high. You get out of this class as much as you want. But the thing is, I have a lot of sensitivity towards the people who struggle. And that's because as a kid, I actually grew up in low-income housing. And I couldn't read to the 2nd grade. And yet I made it to MIT. So and this is the biggest reason why a teacher's here. I'm here for the people who might have a tougher time digesting things. And so the key to this class is you make an argument and you have to support it. It doesn't have to necessarily be by the book, but you have to get into the details. I mean, I've gotten some like ridiculously bad answers. Like if I ask you a yes or no question, you just write no. Well, no, you have to tell me why you said no. Just don't write no. This is in high school. Don't take things to that literal level. I've had students like, what is the key to grow a market? And they say, well, it depends on your marketing campaign. That's what I'm asking you. What is going to be your marketing campaign to get this thing to grow? But anyway, I expect you to use rigor in answering your questions. For example, here is my argument. Tom Brady is a cheater. And my argument is that before they change the rule changes for what team can handle the balls, and a lot of you probably know the story of Tom Brady and the deflated footballs, and he was called a cheater. But before the rule changed, Tom Brady was a good quarterback. After the rule change, if you look at his statistics, all of a sudden he became a Hall of Fame quarterback. And no quarterback in the NFL, not Drew Brees, not Peyton Manning, had as big a shift in performance as Tom Brady did. And so I'm asserting he is a cheater. Now, you could start to argue with me that Tom Brady had a different offensive coordinator, and you can come up with causality to rebuke my argument. But the point is simply this. I made a statement, and I gave fact to support my argument. The big thing is that the questions regarding your statement should be backed up with your argument and your facts. And so, let's get started.